What is up, everybody? My name is Famous and welcome to another episode of Pokemon Go. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the best gym defenders in Pokemon Go. So you might be one of those players who just randomly sticks anything and everything into a gym. Not gonna lie, kind of guilty of that, but there are definitely going to be some main reasons as to why you would want to put in the best gym defenders. One of them is going to be able to get the daily reward of 50 Poke Coins. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter how long a Pokemon defends the gym, you would just be able to get 50 coins if you met the total threshold. But what is another reason that people would want to defend the gyms? Well, that's going to be gym control. For raid battles, you can get an additional 2 Premier Balls just by simply having the gym before the raid begins. This is extremely important in something like an EX raid battle because you're going to want to have the most amount of Premier Balls that you possibly can when you are trying to catch a Pokemon like Mewtwo. If you do enjoy this type of content and find it helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So the first set of Pokemon to talk about is a little bit obscure, but this is going to be kind of like the alternate use Pokemon, and that's going to be the type coverage Pokemon. These are Pokemon that have a moveset that's going to be super effective against a Pokemon that it is weak against. That may sound like a mouthful, but I'm going to go ahead and show some examples of something that I think is going to explain it. So, for example, we've got Typhlosion. Typhlosion can learn the move Solar Beam, and because it knows Solar Beam, it can actually have a super effective moveset against a Water-type Pokemon, which is what a lot of people would probably use against a Fire type, so you would have coverage. Unfortunately, because Solar Beam is just a 1-bar charge move, it's not going to be quite as useful, but I just wanted to go ahead and talk to you about this so you can kind of get what's going on with it. A little bit more of an obscure one would be Slowking. So Slowking, having the water typing, would be weak against grass type. But guess what? It actually has the move Fire Blast. Because it has Fire Blast, that means it has a super effective move against a grass type Pokemon, giving itself coverage. There are plenty of Pokemon like this. If you have some that you like to use, be sure to put it in the comment section below so you can help out as many people as possible. But there is one specific Pokemon that I wanted to talk about that I personally think deserves to be in the top 5 gym defenders, especially from this type coverage, and that's going to be Arcanine. So Arcanine being a fire-type Pokemon, it's going to have a couple of different weaknesses, but the main one is once again going to be water. But Arcanine can learn the move Wild Charge, and because it can learn Wild Charge, which is an electric type move, but not only that, it's also a double bar move, which means it's going to go off so many more times than a single bar charge move. You're going to have coverage against a water type Pokemon. Plus Arcanine is pretty tanky as well, so it's actually a decent option. There's really no other uses for it, so at least you can kind of designate it to defending gyms if you want. Now, let's go ahead and get into the remaining best gym defenders. And they are going to have something in common. And that's going to be normal type Pokemon. So with normal type Pokemon, they only have one weakness, and that's going to be fighting type. So basically, whenever you see a normal type Pokemon in the gym, the default is probably going to be something like a Machamp or maybe a Hariyama. So let's talk about 4 Pokemon specifically that actually act as a very good defensive Pokemon, even though they do have a weakness to fighting. So the first Pokemon I wanted to talk about, this is going to be one of the more recent Pokemon added on to this, and that is Slacking. So Slacking has a max CP of 4,548. So unfortunately, it will more than likely be above that 3,000 CP, so it will degenerate quicker, but what it has is going to be incredible. So it has the move Fast Attack of Yawn, and then a charge attack move of Play Rough. Why is that significant? Well, because Play Rough is a fairy type move, it's actually super effective against fighting type. So this is one of those cases that once again, you've got coverage on this Pokemon. Everyone is going to want to use a fighting type against some of these Pokemon. So the fact that you have coverage against you can pretty much predict what people are going to use. The next Pokemon I wanted to talk about is going to be Snorlax. So Snorlax has a max CP of 3,355. Depending on what level you catch Snorlax at, it will be above or below that 3,000 CP mark. But the best coverage move that you can have for Snorlax is going to be Zen, Headbutt, and then Heavy Slam. Heavy Slam being a 2-bar charge move, it's going to go off a lot more than something like an Earthquake, and I'm thinking that it's going to be a decent moveset. A lot of people would not see this coming. So let's go ahead and talk about the final 2 Pokemon on this list. We've got Chancy. So Chancy is a fairly interesting Pokemon because it is one on our list that cannot cross the 3000 CP mark, which means it's actually going to degenerate at a slower rate than the Pokemon above 3000 CP. Plus, Chancy actually has the dual moveset of Zen Headbutt and then Dazzling Gleam. Because we have a Psychic moveset and then also a Fairy type moveset, both of them, that's right, both of them are super effective against a fighting type. So you may not see Chancy as like a number 1 option, but you'd be surprised at how good of an option it is, especially for the fact that its stamina is at 500. It's going to be able to last the battle. So if you are hatching Chancys in eggs, I would just highly recommend holding on to a couple, especially if it has this moveset, and then you can just use it and just throw them into gyms. But let's go ahead and move on to the queen of defending gyms, and that is Blissey. So Blissey suffers a similar fate as Chancy, and that's actually a good thing because its ideal moveset is going to be Zen Headbutt and then Dazzling Gleam. Once again, you've got a double coverage moveset versus a fighting type because it is weak to Psychic and then also Fairy type. Both moves will be super effective. Of course, you don't have the stab, but honestly, that doesn't really matter. And I would say that a 2-bar charge move is 100% ideal, like we mentioned with Arcanine having Wild Charge. We've got Blissey with Dazzling Gleam, and Dazzling Gleam is an incredible Fairy type moveset. And because Blissey can crack above the 3000 CP with a max CP of 3219, what I would personally recommend you to do is instead of powering it up out to the max, since CP doesn't really matter anymore in defending gyms, I would try to get it into the 2900 range so that it can last as long as possible. If you are interested in more information on this topic, PokemonGoHub.net actually posted an article talking about the best gym defenders, and they even went into the best of every single type. So if you do want more information, I'm going to have a link in the description. But I do have a question of the day for you. Which Pokemon do you like putting in the gym the most? Is it a Blissey or is it something completely different? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Hit me like a tidal wave.